The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Ads with Simon Pound from simonpound.com.
Yep. It is the advertising feature where we look at the wonderful world of advertising, local or international, and the various spins on advertising as well. Today we're talking about how to get people out of their seats. Actually, it's not that hard really when you think about it, and vote in the local body elections, in particular the Auckland Super City election. G'day there, Simon.
G'day there, Glenn. Good morning.
Yes, of course, it always is the struggle, not only for the national, central government elections, but it's even harder to get people to vote for the local body elections, isn't it?
Yeah. What happens is that in other countries, America most famously, they have this thing called Rock the Vote, where it's a concerted effort to try and get people who have either disengaged from the voting process, decided that they're disillusioned and don't want to have anything to do with it, or first-time voters, so people who have just become old enough to vote, to try and get them involved and interested. And so these concerts are really big kind of like pop and hip-hop affairs, and they were credited in helping to bring Obama to power, although people wonder how much of it really was. So what those concerts are doing is really getting people who don't vote. But in local body elections in New Zealand, there's a different kind of problem at play, in that in a general election, about 80% of the population will get out there and vote. And so that would suggest that 80% of New Zealand identify themselves as people who are civically interested enough to vote and who kind of are part of the process. And that's a pretty good number internationally. But when it comes to local body elections, only about 40% of people in the country vote.
Yeah.
So in some places it's a little more, in some places it's a little less, but 40 is a pretty good kind of like average number. So what that means is that half of all people who do vote don't, which is really unusual.
Yeah, and do you think there's a lot of factors at play here, like the fact that the local body election's not as interesting, it's drawn out because it's not one particular day where you go to a polling booth, it's postal, so that requires perhaps a little bit more effort as well. I think there's a lot of things at play.
I think it's all of those things. I think it's that plus maybe less compelling candidates, plus less consistent messages, because there aren't kind of love or hate the two-horse race of national politics that it has been. The MMP is kind of changing a bit, but it still mainly is. There isn't that kind of consistency in local body. There's not just kind of two parties you vote for. There's all kinds of people. There's actual independents, and there's a lot of things you have to vote for at once.
Yeah, have you opened your postal ballot?
So all of these things, I've had a look through the book, and it's bewildering.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. So I think all of those factors are at play. I think the main factor that stops people actually doing it, though, is one that you identified there, is that lack of a focal point. Because there's not like a day that it happens on, I think everyone kind of gets the envelope, it goes on top of the fridge, it goes in the drawer beside the phone, and it just doesn't get, you just don't get round to it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what happened to me last election. I just kind of didn't get round to it, and I wasn't really feeling that excited, and I didn't really want to vote for John Banks, I didn't really want to vote for Dick Hubbard, and I just kind of didn't want to, nothing excited me enough, and I didn't do it.
I really wish you could do it online. I think that would motivate perhaps a younger generation to vote.
I think that will be, we'll see that in the future as more of the world moves online. At the moment, the only people who do vote in postal elections are old people who are very comfortable with voting in ballots. If you look at kind of the breakdown of who votes in these things, the people who vote, if you're old, white, and a homeowner, you're very likely to vote.
Yeah.
And if you're young, anything other than white, and a renter, you're very unlikely to vote. And that's a terrible thing, because a lot of people seem to think that it only really matters to them if they get a rates bill. But all people who pay rent, I mean, the amount that your rates are, your rates are a component of the cost of your rent. rent. You are a ratepayer if you are a rent payer. If you are interested in having public transport or good libraries, or even efficient rubbish and water services, then you should be. In many ways, local body decisions will affect you much more often and much more directly than anything in a national election.
Exactly.
So for some reason, people will vote in national elections with abstract concepts.
Yeah.
Maybe with the tax being the only thing that really gets them all the time.
So bringing it back round to advertising, so the main tool that the elections people use is that orange stick man who walks around and says put the thing in the mail and all that. But is there an alternative out there?
So that's been the national campaign, and it's worked very well. But locally, there've been ads in Auckland. I know there's people around the country, but Auckland's where a lot of the focus has been. Because of the change to the super city, and also it's also the only place that I've spent any time in the last couple of months. So the only place I can talk about the advertising that's happened here. And there've been a lot of ads that say yours, and they're kind of pictures of different Aucklanders, and they've been on the back of buses and in papers and stuff. And I think that the messaging was not simple enough. It like yours in a picture. It kind of needed to be, I think, more basic. It's got a lot better now since the packs were sent out. It's got a lot better, and there's been really concerted information in local newspapers. So if you were to pick up like a Central Leader or Aucklander or something, there's been great information that has been advertised through there. But I think the first information might have needed to have been more that simple kind of like, are you enrolled? Do you know there's an election coming? Do you know what ward you're in? Because there's been this enormous changeover in Auckland, where the nine councils, I think it is, are turning into the one. So there's a real sense of people not really knowing who they have to vote for, what they have to vote for, and there's this enormous lack of understanding.
Yeah. So you're involved in something sort of left of field, really, with this.
Yes. Well, just. Something to try and start some conversations about why people vote or don't vote, and just to start them thinking about the process. Me and a couple of others have put together a thing called Post the Vote, which is trying to get that half of all people who do vote at general elections but don't vote at local body elections to have a bit of a think about it, and think about why they do or why they don't, and maybe be a little bit of a prompt that it applies to them. And so it's a concert that's going to be on at the King's Arms in Auckland on Monday, October 4.
Yeah.
2 days after that is the actual last day that you can post your ballot. And the trick with this concert is that we've got great bands playing. We've got the Early Birds headlining it, the Situations, and the Mots.
Cool.
And the trick is that if you take a photo on your cell phone of you, or however you would like to, of you posting your ballot, and then bring it along on the night, or send it to us at an email address, postthevote@icons.co.nz, then you get free entry. And Sal's Pizza have come on board, and they're providing some pizza for the 7 o'clock start. And radio station BFM have partnered on it, and they're running a whole series of ads pro bono on their station, just to try and get these conversations happening, which is really, really cool.
Brilliant. Post the Vote, and that is on Facebook. If you just search for Post the Vote as an event, and you will find it. Thanks very much, Simon.
Absolutely. Hey, well, thank you, Glenn. Nice to talk to you.
Yeah, Simon Pound at simonpound.com.